During a sinister deep-sea mission, we discovered 3 haunting secrets that should remain forbidden. The sun shone bright over Harrow's Cove, casting an alluring glow on the waves. But beneath that tranquil surface, dark stories whispered of a bloated ghost ship, the Orpheus, whose secrets sizzled with menace. When deep-sea diver Lisa prepared for what was supposed to be a standard inspection of an abandoned oil rig, she had no idea the job would plunge her into terror's embrace. Her heart raced as she geared up with the crew, who stood with nervous energy. "Careful out there," muttered one of her teammates. Sinister folklore surrounded the Orpheus, a ship that supposedly sank with the town's murkiest secrets. As Lisa stared at the treacherous depths, anxiety swirled around her. She remembered her grandmother's warnings: myths often protect greater truths. The descent into the black abyss was sudden. The sun's warmth faded, the shadows growing thicker, wrapping their tendrils around her like a cold blanket. As they neared the rig, the chilling silence enveloped them. It felt wrong. Darkness has a way of wrapping around you, making you feel alone. Then, with one flick of her light, Lisa's breath hitched. A massive structure loomed, hissing and groaning like a creature awakening from slumber. Suddenly, the crew's equipment malfunctioned, lights flickering. A chilling whisper surged through the water, shattering the silence. Panic surged, Lisa's heart pounding like a drum. Then she caught sight of it, the Orpheus, its eerie hull rising from the murk. It wasn't just a ship. It was a living memory, a tomb cloaked in shadows. As they unsealed an old section, a heavy chest revealed itself, filled with dusty, cryptic journals. The contents screamed history, dark tales of betrayal and agony, warnings garbled in forgotten languages. Each artifact pulsed with dread. Lisa felt it, to a pulling sensation that made her skin crawl. They surfaced, expectantly gasping for air, yet celebrations quickly soured. In the days that followed, Lisa's little girl, Mia, began to tremble in the night. "Mommy, the shadows are coming," she'd cry amidst tangled sheets. Cold dread clutched Lisa's insides. Mia spoke of the Orpheus, describing details that chilled her blood, things only known by those who had already perished. What had followed them, lurking just beyond the shoreline? Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system, and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The next day, Lisa sought comfort from her neighbors, but found them cold, eyes darting away. They spoke in whispers, distrust skimming the surface like a wave ready to crash. Only Jim, a normally friendly face, took a strange fascination in Mia's nightmares, creeping beneath Lisa's skin like a dark shadow. When he lurked closer, asking Mia too many personal questions, something in Lisa snapped. With dread gnawing at her stomach, she and her best friend pored over the Orpheus's origin. Each new fact dripped with foreboding, piecing together a picture that made her blood run cold. As the sun dipped low, shadows danced eerily along the streets. Then her phone rang. "Mommy, they're coming for me, the ones from the sea." The line cut to silence. Lisa froze, fear paralyzing her. What had she awoken? What had clawed its way from the depths? The hunt was on, and she still didn't understand the game. All she knew was that many secrets should never emerge from the deep. Lisa's heart raced. A cold sweat broke out across her brow as she gripped the phone tighter. The silence was deafening. In that static void, she felt the weight of Mia's words crashing down on her. Shadows, the ones from the sea. Had they really come for her daughter? She bolted from her living room, her breath catching in her throat. The air felt thick, oppressive, as if the very atmosphere was aware of the unspeakable dread looming just beyond her door. Lisa stumbled into Mia's room, her gaze flicking wildly across the walls, searching for something. The chill in the air seemed to coalesce into dark shapes, shifting just out of sight, as if alive and watching. "Mia," she called, panic gripping her voice. But as she reached the bed, her heart sank. The sheets were crumpled, but her daughter was nowhere to be found. Only the faint impression of tiny feet left behind, leading toward the narrow hallway. "Mia," She shouted again, voice trembling and desperate. Dread clawed at her insides as she followed the trail of her little girl, each step echoing in the unforgiving embrace of fear. She moved through the dimly lit hallway, her heart racing louder with each passing second. Shadows stretched and contracted, the walls closing in on her. Finally, she reached the front door. It stood ajar, a foreign chill wafting in from the outside. The light from the setting sun splashed crimson across the floor, everything bathed in an eerie, blood-like glow. Lisa hesitated, breath hitching in her throat. A primal instinct told her to flee, yet motherly love pushed her forward. "Mia," she gasped, stepping outside. The air felt still, but the world beyond her home seemed different. Orpheus' dark legacy stirred, rising like an undertow, pulling her into the unknown. Each step outside her door felt like wading deeper into an icy sea, a thrill of terror coursing through her veins. The beach was shadowed now, the gentle lap of waves growing more ominous, like low whispers clawing up from the depths. Fragments of knowledge buried deep in her mind clicked together the town's stories, the lost ship, the chilling fate of its passengers. They had taken something, and now they wanted more. "Mia," she yelled, her voice starting to crack. Then she saw a dark figure by the water's edge, arms outstretched. It was too far to make out details, the edges blurred as if reality struggled to shape it. Lisa felt her stomach drop, fear paralyzing her. "Is that you?" she called, but the figure didn't reply. It swayed slightly, beckoning her closer. She hesitated. The stories of the Orpheus swirled in her mind like a tempest. Treachery, revenge, despair. Foolishness pulls you to the dark side. With every step, the thrill of potential horror clawed at her courage. "Mia," she shouted again, shoving through the growing panic. The figure turned, revealing a glimmer of familiar dark hair. Relief surged through her, but it was quickly stifled by another pang of terror. "Mia, come back," Lisa urged, her voice cracking, desperation clawing at her. But the figure paused, a chill wind spiraled around it, twisting and tangling like a spirit caught in a storm. As Lisa lunged forward, reality twisted. The figure's face morphed into something grotesque, something she recognized from the journals. "Mia," she screamed, as the grotesque relief shattered into a horrible realization. Suddenly, the water surged upward like spitting wrath, dark forms emerging, faces she had only glimpsed in nightmares bearing down on Mia. Lisa's heart plummeted into the depths of despair. The shadows were no longer mere tales. They had come alive. She lunged forward, arms outstretched, screaming into the night, "No, not my daughter." But with that desperate cry, everything went dark. What had she unleashed? And was there still time to save Mia from what the Orpheus sought? Lisa's eyes snapped open. The darkness was absolute, swallowing her whole. Breathing heavily, she pushed against the ground, a damp, cold surface beneath her fingers. For a moment, panic surged. Where was she? Where was Mia? She scrambled to her feet, the sensation of water lapping at her ankles grabbing her attention. The chill seeped through her clothes, more than just a physical cold. It wrapped around her heart, squeezing tight. Not now. She couldn't fall apart. Not now. The echoes of the ocean crashed against her resolve as she recognized the shoreline. The shadows were back, flickering just beyond her reach, darting in and out of the darkness like phantoms taunting her. They reminded her of the stories, the ship, the lost souls. What had she stumbled into? "Mia," she cried again, the word tearing from her throat. It rang out into the night, swallowed by the vastness. Silence fell heavy, broken only by that incessant whisper of the waves. Lisa shivered, fighting against the fear that threatened to drown her in despair. Suddenly, she spotted movement, a quickening shadow near the water's edge. "Mia," she called, a desperate hope igniting within her. She took tentative steps closer, heart pounding in her chest, each beat a frantic plea for her daughter's safety. The shape shifted, coming into a blurry focus. It was her, but different. Strange shadows danced across Mia's silhouette, wrapping around her like a shroud. There was something about the girl's posture too still, too unnatural. Lisa froze, uncertainty creeping in. "Mia?" she whispered, horror clawing at her insides. Then the shadows flickered, and the figure before her warped and twisted, revealing a face that mirrored her daughter's, but inhuman. The eyes were pools of darkness, swirling with memories of despair and longing. "Mama," a voice emerged, hollow and distorted. It was not Mia. Not entirely. "Get away from her," Lisa screeched, her instincts screaming to survive. The illusion of her child only fueled her rage. She rushed toward the creature, ready to confront the horror that dared take her daughter's form. Suddenly, the winds began to howl, carrying whispers that flitted around her. "Sacrifice, join us," the words echoed around her, merging into a cacophony that made Lisa stagger. She covered her ears, trying to block out the maddening chorus. "Leave us alone," she shouted, drawing every ounce of strength from deep within. The voice that once sounded like Mia spoke again, but now it was seductive, luring her into submission. "You can't save her, Lisa. She belongs to the deep, she has always belonged." "No," Lisa retorted, shaking her head. Tears stung at the corners of her eyes. Memories flooded back, the sound of her daughter laughing, the way she'd curl up in her arms after a long day, full of warmth and light. In that moment of clarity, she spotted something glimmering in the sand. It was a small seashell, reflecting the last light of the dying sun. "Mia," she called, desperation fueling her actions. She grabbed it, feeling the familiar warmth of childhood safety coursing through it. "Mama, help me!" The warped figure reached for her, and the shadows thickened, closing in. Lisa stepped back, heart pounding in her chest. With a surge of courage, she cried out, "Don't you touch her!" Holding the shell tightly, she hurled it into the darkness. The moment it hit the water, an ear-piercing screech echoed out, reverberating through the night, shattering the tide with a fury she had never known. The shadows recoiled, shifting and melting away, leaving only the figure of her daughter. Mia's form flickered as if unsure if it could hold. "Mama?" she whispered again, this time with sadness and fear. "Stay with me, Mia," Lisa cried, fear threatening to tear her apart. Before her eyes, the figures began to rise from the depths, clawing at the fading light, hungry for what they craved. Lisa's heart raced. She could feel the impending doom, the craving of the shadows to engulf them both. As the last vestiges of twilight slipped away, she sprang towards her daughter, ready to pull her away from the abyss. But would they escape? The CS call was louder, more insistent than ever. Would Lisa lose Mia to the darkness that hungered for their souls? "Mama!" Mia's voice trembled against the breaking waves. She stood inches away, but the shadows surged like a tidal wave between them, reaching out with fingers that twisted and coiled around her spirit. Each moment, their grip grew tighter, and Lisa felt her heart shatter in her chest. "Mia, please." Lisa's voice cracked, desperation spilling from her lips as she reached out. "I'm here." From the depths, figures rose, tortured souls with eyes like empty voids, mouths twisted in eternal cries. They held her daughter in thrall, a ghostly embrace that radiated despair. Lisa's breath quickened, each gasp filled with terror, her chest tightening as if submerged in icy water. The creature that wore Mia's face whispered dark promises. "Come to us, Mama. You can join her, forever." It was a siren's call, promising release from pain, but she knew the truth. "No," Lisa shouted with a ferocity that shocked her. She moved closer, her heart pounding like a drum in her ears. "You can't have her. You'll have to take me first." The shadows twisted in a fit of rage, dark voices rising into a terrifying roar. "Sacrifice. You must give in." That moment, the seashell she had thrown shimmered faintly under the lunar glow, still rising through the waters as if trying to bridge the gap between the worlds. Lisa felt a pull towards it, a magnetic force urging her closer. Instinctively, she stumbled toward the shell. The light provided an anchor of hope in this storm of despair. "Mia," she screamed, urgency woven through her voice, weaving a thread of connection against the darkness. With every ounce of strength, she plunged into the shallows, arms outstretched toward the glow. Cold water rushed around her, biting at her skin like tiny knives. But she pressed on, straining against the rising tide, struggling against the pull of the shadows that tried to drag her back. They clawed at her ankles, whispering vile secrets that clawed at her mind. "Your daughter, she's ours. The ocean wants her." "No," Lisa gasped, each word a fight in the chaos. "She's mine." Suddenly, a series of blinding flashes sparked above. Was it lightning? No, a flicker of the inexplicable. The air thickened, electrified with dread, and she felt an intuitive understanding deep within her. This was a test, a choice that carried weight beyond their realm. That heartbeat, clear as day. She realized the sea craved connection, to blend their souls into the abyss of shared despair. The loss, the fear it would not end at her death. Grasping the seashell tightly, she steeled herself, channeling every memory, every smile, every ounce of love she held for Mia. Lisa shouted, "You have no power here. This love is stronger." A blinding light exploded from the shell, illuminating the darkness. It sliced through the shadowy tendrils, forcing them back, revealing glimpses of the once peaceful coastline engulfed by the nightmarish tide. "Mama!" Mia's figure trembled, brightening under the glow, her distorted face flickering. But just as Lisa felt the surge of hope, the ground beneath her feet shifted, as if claiming her back into the depths. The shadows screamed, a sound that resonated through her bones. They tried to pull Mia once more, and the contrast was sharp, a heartbreaking tug of war that tore Lisa's very spirit. She could almost feel the edges of their world beckoning her daughter closer. Shadows writhed and swirled around them, menacing figures closing in again. "Mama, help me. Mia, I won't leave you." Then, a pained silence hung in the air, thick and suffocating. It felt like the world turned inside out. Something in the shadows arose, not just hunger but fear. They were afraid of something. In that instance, Lisa had an idea, a last gamble. She whispered softly, "I know what you fear the truth." With a fierce determination, she invoked the memories of every terror that had been buried beneath the surface. Stories of the shipwreck, the lost souls, their cries for salvation lingered in whispers around her. And with every confession, she realized she wasn't just fighting for Mia anymore. It was for all who had come before them, those lost to the ocean's cruelty. Shadows flickered and trembled as they recognized the power behind her words. But would it be enough? Would the shadows be vanquished, or would they reclaim Mia, plunging mother and daughter into eternal darkness? As the tides surged and the lights flickered, Lisa knew the reckoning was imminent. What truth lingered hidden in the depths? And could it save them or lead to their undoing? The light from the seashell pulsed, sending waves of warmth through Lisa's body, a stark contrast to the cold grasp of the shadows. She felt the moment shift, like the air had thickened with purpose. For an instant, hope flickered as Mia shone brightly, but darkness clawed back, eager to swallow the light whole. "Mama!" Mia's voice pierced the chaos, woven with fear and desperation, her figure dimming amidst the encroaching shadows. The sight twisted Lisa's heart, igniting a surge of determination. She could not let her daughter slip away. Murmurs surrounded her. A symphony of tortured whispers, "Join us, join her." The shadows coalesced, morphing into grotesque faces, their mouths widening in silent screams. They were losing their grip, but would it be enough? "Mia!" Lisa cried, desperate, thrusting her hand toward the seashell even as the chilling water pulled her deeper. "Together. Just hold on, please." Lisa looked into Mia's eyes, searching, pleading for her to see her strength. The girl's hollowed gaze flickered momentarily, a spark of recognition buried beneath the weight of despair. Lisa felt her chest tighten as she shouted into the void, "Fight them! Fight!" Her voice echoed, growing in volume, drowning out the maddening whispers enveloping them. "You will not take her. You have no hold here." For a moment, silence wrapped around them. The shadows writhed, contorting in confusion, momentarily disoriented by the force of Lisa's conviction. Lisa's heart raced, hope and fear battling within her. But then, without warning, a gigantic shadow surged forward, breaking through the layers of darkness, an entity larger than the rest, an amalgamation of fears and sorrows woven together. It roared, a sound that resonated deep, threatening to breach Lisa's sanity. The anguish it carried was palpable, tangible, almost alive. "Mama, I can't hold on." Mia wailed, her form flickering like a dying flame. Lisa felt the ground shift, a violent tremor that threatened to pull her under. The grotesque, monstrous shadow lunged, its breath electric with malice. It was not just terror, it was the embodiment of every lost soul that had been drawn to the depths, consumed by their own pain. But she remembered the power of truth, the stories buried in the depths. With agonizing clarity, she whispered the words of the lost tales, words that belonged to generations now silenced. You cannot keep us. We will share our truth with them. You are nothing but a memory. As she spoke, the seashell erupted, a blinding swirl of light that encased them. The cries of the lost grew louder, merging with her voice, building into an unholy chorus, a juxtaposition of despair and resolve. For a heartbeat, the shadows hesitated. The blinding light carved through their forms, revealing not just darkness but the promise of release. Lisa's power surged, adrenaline coursing through her veins, giving every ounce of her being to save Mia. Mia, come to me. Trust and love. Mia's face brightened momentarily, the ghostly distortion fading, but the monstrous shadow reasserted itself, a growl rumbling from its depths. Lisa felt a cold grip round her ankle, pulling her down fast, the tide rising with an insistent fury. The seashell dimmed, and Mia's faint form began to shift back towards the darkness. Lisa's scream joined the cacophony, battling against the tide of despair. No, you're not lost. You're not alone. And just then, the shadow's form wavered, flickering in response to her words. What if the darkness could be bent? What if the truth would arm her against the void? The answer burned in her veins, fierce and unrelenting. With a final effort, she dove down. Mia's figure flickered, and Lisa felt the ocean's grip grow tighter, dragging at her essence, threatening to split her in two. The monstrous shadow roared, but Lisa didn't waver. And then, in the depths, among the chaos, she found a shard of hope rising through the dark. The choice was so close, but could she survive the depths to bring Mia back? Shadows thrashed around them, threatening to consume both mother and daughter. What would the truth expose next? And would it be the salvation they needed, or was there a cost too great to bear? The darkness wrapped around them like a suffocating blanket, a black mist full of whispers that clawed at Lisa's sanity. She felt the ocean pressing in, the coldness threatening to snuff out her will. Each fleeting second reminded her of time slipping away, every heartbeat tainted with dread. She pushed through the darkness, gripping the seashell tightly, its warmth a flickering flame against the onslaught of chilling fears. Mia, she screamed again, her voice raw. You're almost here. Keep fighting. The shadows reared back, snapping with teeth made from old regrets and unresolved fears. They circled like hungry wolves, stalking their prey. Lisa's heart pounded in her chest, but she pressed on. With each pulse of the seashell, a pulse of courage surged within her. Then the monstrous shadow lunged again, a gaping maw of despair wide enough to swallow them both. Lisa barely dodged its fangs, twisting her body to avoid the icy grip that threatened to pull her under. Desperate, she reached out, searching for anything to cling to. But all that surrounded her felt like treachery. Each movement she made, it felt as if the darkness was aware, tightening its coils around her, waiting patiently for her slip. Beneath her, Mia's light flickered, becoming a distant glimmer fighting to stay visible amid the overwhelming gloom. Mama, I can't breathe. Mia's voice echoed through the terror, sharp as a knife. Every syllable twisted the knife deeper into Lisa's heart that a surge of adrenaline rushed through her, intensified by Mia's fear. The intent behind Lisa's words shifted. It wasn't just about saving Mia anymore. It was about refusing to let the darkness take anyone else. You are not shadows, she cried, the truth leaping to the surface like a gasp of air. You were once flesh and blood. You had dreams. You have no power over us. With every word, the shadow demons flinched. For a brief moment, their forms flickered, revealing faces twisted by anguish. Long-lost memories danced at the periphery, a flash of sorrow and regret quickly swallowed by darkness. They were the damned, lingering too long, imprisoned by their own unresolved stories. Mia's light flared brighter, momentarily illuminating her mother's path. There was life in those shadows, every struggle etched in their haunting expressions. Lisa pushed through, her feet finally finding purchase in the swirling darkness. Mia, follow the light. But the monstrous shadow roared, its voice a cacophony of nightmares, echoing off the abyss. You cannot escape. You are one of us now. Nausea washed over Lisa as the tendrils of despair wove tighter, binding her ankles. She felt the pull of the abyss, the weight of sorrow trying to consume her. The seashell flickered violently, fighting against the tide, its power waning. No, I refuse, Lisa howled, and she found the strength to pull Mia closer. Their hands reached for each other through the veil of shadows, but each inch felt like a mile. A coldness invaded her bones as the grasp tightened, snapping at her resolve. Mama, I'm scared. But fear stoked the fire in Lisa. Then let us be brave together, she shouted, holding onto the seashell as if it were the core of her being, gathering every ounce of love she could muster, fueled by the heart of a mother. We will not perish here. Suddenly, the sea pulsed violently around them, as if the very ocean stirred in response to Lisa's defiance. She felt the weight of the shadows waver, their grip loosening momentarily. But from the deep, a new darkness emerged, larger than before. It surged like an ocean wave, an even greater embodiment of grief, more monstrous than the last. Panic tore through her, an icy claw squeezing around her heart as it lunged for them, in a way out. No escape, what was she fighting now? And as silence fell, the shadows whispered in eerie harmony, an ominous herald of despair. You are not the first to resist, Lisa breathed heavily, her body burning with exhaustion and fear. They were running out of time. What are you? She gasped, but her voice was swallowed by the darkness. The new shadow lunged again, and she could only brace for impact, holding on fiercely to the last flicker of light. That was Mia. Was it truly the end, or was there something deeper waiting to be uncovered? Lisa's heart raced, the desperate urge to fight still alive within her. Who was this new darkness? And perhaps, even more terrifying, what truths lay buried beneath the weight of their suffering? The darkness surged forward, an unstoppable wave of despair crashing over them. Lisa gritted her teeth, the icy grip of fear clawing at her throat. She could feel the shifting shadows swallowing the glimmers of Mia's light, snuffing them out one by one. Hold on, just hold on, she screamed, but her words felt small against the roar of the abyss. The tendrils of shadow wrapped tighter, an agonizing constriction creeping up her legs. Panic bubbled in her throat like boiling water. Trying to yank free, she dug her heels into the ocean floor, seizing any grip she could find. The seashell pulsed with heat, a stubborn ember fighting against the freezing darkness. The new silhouette loomed, monstrous and twisted, merging shadows into a body that altered between forms half human, half nightmare. With each flicker, Lisa envisioned faces of the lost, people desperately reaching out for freedom that would never come. It sickened her. They were not her concern. She wouldn't let them take Mia. Mama! Mia's cry pierced through the chaos. The sound trembled with a blend of terror and urgency. It's getting darker. I can't see you. The crackle of despair made Lisa's heart drop further. You must trust me. I'm right here. Focus on my voice. The darkness reacted, screeching in response, thrashing with renewed fury. The air thickened, the whispers rising, clawing at her ears. Join us, their voices hissed, a symphony filled with sorrow and deception. It's your fate now, Lisa shouted back defiantly, forcing the words from her throat as they threatened to drown her. This is not my fate. I will not accept this darkness. Then, a sudden stillness. The monstrous shadow froze as if struck by lightning, and in that moment, Lisa sensed the tiniest echo of the truth, the weight of the burden each shadow carried. Their anguish had become their chains, and they longed for release. But at what cost? With vision sharpened by desperation, she looked around, desperately seeking a way to navigate through the tempest. A faint shimmer caught her eyes, Mia's light flickering, fighting against the overwhelming darkness, pulsing like a heartbeat. Mia, keep it steady. Push through. Suddenly, the shadows curled back, revealing more chaos beneath the surface, a murky depth where unspeakable horrors seemed to swell. Lisa shuddered, instinct ringing loud and clear. They were not alone. Something worse lurked in the depths, something waiting for the moment to strike. Mama, I don't want to go down there. Mia whimpered, the tremor in her voice shaking Lisa to her core. Her grip on the seashell tightened until her knuckles turned white. We want to go down there. Stand firm. We fight. But before she could finish, the abyss roared to life, and the new shadow lunged again, hungry for their defiance. It screamed with the voices of the forgotten, drowning out Mia's cries. Give in, give in, give in. You are lost. No. Lisa howled, bravely stepping forward, still holding onto the flickering seashell. She felt the energy ripple through her, an unbreakable bond tethering her to Mia. You aren't real. You don't own us. You hear me? But instead, the darkness twisted and morphed, revealing a grotesque visage of past victim, eyes hollow and despairing. You will join us, it rasped, the weight of history brimming with pain heavy on Lisa's chest. Breathless, Lisa dug deep within herself, channeling every hopeful memory, the laughter, the moments that mattered. And in that instant, she saw it. They were not just shadows. They were stories left untold, victims waiting for liberation. Mia, she yelled, steely determination filling her voice. We're shining a light on the truth. Remember who we are. With a surge of force, the seashell blazed brighter than before, illuminating the shadows around them. The scream of the beast split the air, vibrating with rage and fear. But something within Lisa shifted, molding into an unyielding resolve. They would rise together or not at all. And just as the shadow lunged again, a sudden jolt of energy rippled through the darkness, waves of memories crashing against their isolation. Relief surged, but a chilling realization crept in. The closer they came to the light, the more formidable the shadows grew, awakening a deeper terror. Before Lisa could process, another echoing voice joined the fray, sneering with the remnants of hope lost. You think you can break the cycle? Lisa's heart sank further. The struggle of not just survival, but confronting the very essence of their pain stared them dead in the face. In the pulse of darkness thrumming around them, the weight of their suffering began to take form, twisting reality itself, tantalizing truths ready to break free or plunge them further into despair. What awaited them next? Would they unleash a truth too dark to bear? The ground beneath Lisa and Mia shuddered, the waves of darkness undulating like some slumbering beast awakening from a relentless nightmare. Lisa felt the air grow physically heavier, pressing against her chest. The shadows howled, contorting into faces twisted with anguish, their mouths opening wide in silent screams that clawed at Lisa's sanity. Mama, I can't breathe. Mia gasped, her small hands tugging at Lisa's sleeve, desperation bleeding through her young voice. Lisa's heart raced faster, thrumming like a wild drum within her chest. She felt the cold tendrils of fear curling around her spine, but she couldn't falter now. Not when Mia needed her most. No, honey, you can. Hold on to me. Focus on my voice, she urged, forcing each word through her tightened throat as the darkness roared hungrily, ready to swallow them whole. The seashell pulsed again, hot to the touch, a beacon daring the shadows to approach. With every beat of its light, Lisa could see Simon's face flash behind the darkness, a face she thought she'd never see again. He smiled softly, but beneath that smile lay the sorrow of 1,000 forgotten souls. Help us, Lisa, his voice echoed, fading into the abyss, only to be replaced by roars of despair. Stop, Lisa screamed, clenching her eyes shut. She wouldn't listen. She would not let them drag her into their darkness. As the shadows writhed, she opened her eyes to the grotesque display, the eyes of lost souls peering out from their twisted faces, a chilling gallery of torment that made her stomach churn. She looked back at Mia, her daughter, now trembling under the weight of the fear enveloping them. We have to remember, Mia. We are strong. We are not alone, Lisa urged, their connection pulsing like the seashell in her grip. Mama, they're pulling at me, Mia cried, the shadows stretching towards her, serpents of despair reaching with icy fingers. No, fight them, Lisa shouted, desperation surging anew. She recalled the laughter, the joy, the love shared between them, a tapestry of light that the darkness could not unravel. You're my light, Mia. Don't let them take you. With every ounce of resolve, she pressed the seashell closer to Mia, who cried out as the beams of light pierced through the suffocating darkness, momentarily pushing it back. Yet the shadows screamed, retreating but lingering, angry and hungry. You can't escape us. You're part of a cycle, a web of sorrow weaved generations deep. You can't break it. Lisa felt a chill run down her spine. The web of sorrow? What had they stumbled into? She sensed it, felt the truth knotting tight around them. She locked eyes with Mia, who nodded. The flicker of fear met with bravery. But the shadows began their relentless assault once more. Relentless shadows chanting, their voices a cacophony of condemnation. Your history will repeat, your fate is sealed. Lisa took a breath, holding Mia's gaze. No, not our fate. We are stronger. Light will always find a way. Then, out of the corner of her eye, movement. Something darker, deeper than the shadows, oozing from the abyss, a thing that twisted and roiled, swallowing its way through the murky depths below them. It slithered with intent, its hunger palpable, a silent promise that struck fear into her heart. Mamma Mia's voice barely rose above a whisper, shaken and unsure. What is that? Lisa's throat tightened, her eyes zeroing in on the mass, dread coiling around her gut. Whatever it was, it pulsed with the depth of despair, resonating with the very fabric of their fears, and as if reacting to her thoughts, the dark thing rose, revealing itself, the grotesque form emerging from the black water. Find the truth, it commanded, its voice low, rumbling like thunder, echoing the very essence of nightmares. But tread carefully. The truth is not only painful, it's damning. The reality of the looming terror gripped Lisa with icy fingers. How could they face it? How could they uncover the truth when it threatened to tear them apart? And as the beast's gaze locked onto Lisa, she felt the ground surge beneath her feet, the shadows swirling. Like a tempest, the seashell flickered, teetering between light and dark, reflecting their desperate struggle. What mysteries did this darkness choke from the depths? What secrets lie in wait, buried deep beneath the waves? As the horrors threatened to breach the surface, Lisa could do nothing but brace herself for the truth that could change everything or end them once and for all. Mia clutched Lisa's hand tighter, her little fingers trembling like leaves in a storm. The darkness writhed, thrumming with life, the monstrous shape moving closer, every shudder of its form sending ripples of ice down Lisa's spine. She could feel its gaze piercing through her, probing her thoughts, digging for fears buried deep within. What truth? What do you want from us? She shouted, her voice wavering but determined, an unexpected flare of defiance igniting in her chest. The creature leaned forward, its presence suffocating, every inch like a predator hovering over its prey. Your lineage, it holds the key, it rasped, the words slithering into her mind like a viper's tongue. Generations ago, your ancestors made a pact, a bargain that now demands its due. You cannot escape it. Lisa's heart began to race again. The whispers of the past echoed in her head, fragmented memories of family gatherings, hushed conversations that always seemed to swirl around an unspoken truth. She had brushed them aside, but now, Mama, make it go away. Mia screamed, tears streaming down her cheeks. The reality of their situation crashed over Lisa like a wave, a pulsing reminder of the stakes they faced. Could they break this cycle? Would her lineage's dark history drag them both down into the depths? Light, remember the light, she repeated, squeezing the seashell harder. It still pulsed, a heartbeat of hope amidst the chaos. The shadows shrieked in protest, churning around them, retreating just enough for the brilliant light to flicker defiantly. Then she heard it, a whisper barely audible beneath the clamor of the beast. Find the source. What source? She echoed, frantic. What are you talking about? The creature's form twisted and contorted, revealing glimpses of ethereal faces briefly caught in the glow, the remnants of those who had come before, ensnared and silent. Your blood is the key. Face the darkness of your past, Lisa. It surged forward, its shadowy tendrils trying to wrap around them. Suddenly, the seashell emitted a blinding glow, blaring like an alarm amid the horrors surrounding them. Lisa instinctively shielded Mia, but the light surged outward, illuminating endless shadows, peeling away layers of despair and revealing the truth. A twisted tapestry of sorrow woven through time, each thread shimmering with secrets. What came next felt like a storm, memories cascading through Lisa's mind. Snatches of family portraits, gray eyes staring solemnly, whispers of warning about a price that had to be paid. The heaviness of a pact made long ago echoed around her, filling her with a suffocating dread. Change the course, the shadows howled, a cacophony of voices merging into one, or your fates will intertwine. Mama, I can't. Mia looked up, terror tainting her eyes. No, Lisa shouted, grounding herself. We must. Then the dark thing lunged, its maw wide, ready to consume them both as the seashell erupted into pure light. With a deafening roar, the darkness recoiled, but Lisa sensed its urgency rippling in the air around them, a desperation to reclaim what it had lost. Remember, you must choose. It howled, its voice distorted, a blend of fury and fear. The shadows thickened, gathering solidly, almost corporeal. With every ounce of courage, Lisa took a step forward. We will not be your sacrifice, she exclaimed, and as she did, she felt the illumination from the seashell amplifying, flaring brighter than ever before. The ground trembled beneath them, shaking violently, as if protesting her defiance. Face the past, the monster hissed, or lose everything. As the familiar faces of her ancestors blurred through the brightening haze, Lisa was swept into a vision, dark waves crashing, a storm brewing, and echoes of their past vividly intertwining with the present. But what would she uncover, and at what cost? What darkness awaited her in the depths of the truths she was destined to confront? Holding her breath, Lisa prepared to pierce the shadows of her lineage, unaware the real terror was yet to come. The storm raged inside and outside. Thrumming waves of desperation collided with the tide of darkness. Lisa's heart raced against the terrifying knell, echoing her lineage, a web spun with sorrows and unfathomable pacts. The beast roared, a fury of retribution, beckoning her to relinquish her daughter and seep deep into the anguish of forgotten souls. Mama, Mia cried, trembling, her small body enveloped in the swirling darkness. The tendrils wrapped tighter, more menacing and urgent. Lisa felt the sickening tug, the eerie weight of a pact clawing at her, begging for resolution. She swallowed hard, desperate to hold on. Together, sweetheart. We stand together, Lisa yelled against the rising tempest. Flicking her gaze across the murky depths, she sensed the countless eyes of the lost. Shadows twisted, each burned with a longing for release. They weren't just shadows, they were yearning souls, tethered in sorrow. Mama, I'm scared, Mia's voice quivered. Remember the light, Mia? Focus on us. Lisa's breath hitched, her resolve strengthening as she gripped the seashell like a lifeline. Feeling its warmth resonate through her fingers, the monstrous form loomed closer, morphing into faces of torment, the forgotten cries clawing through the air. Join us, they whispered. Be part of the cycle now, Lisa shouted, even as it felt like the truth wrapped itself around her limbs, iron chains pulsing with darkness. We will not be your offering. In fury, Lisa unleashed every ounce of history she had gathered. You will not define us. Her heart thundered, the memories of her ancestors spiraling through time, weaving a narrative of resilience against the wall of grief that towered before them. The seashell began to glow fiercely, casting a pool of light bright enough to repel the shadows that dared to encroach. Lisa felt Mia's hands steady in hers, and their hearts synchronized, pumping strength into Lisa's veins. It was more than mere survival now, it was reclamation. Face the truth. We have depth. We are unbreakable, Lisa cried, her voice cutting through the tempestuous whispers that sought to drown them. The shadows recoiled but quickly surged forward again, and their screams filled the air, swirling around like a tempest. Together, Lisa urged, raising the seashell high. This is our moment. Show them who we are. Suddenly, a surge of energy pulsed through their connection. The seashell exploded with blinding brilliance, flaring into a conduit of light, flooding the darkness, revealing the tapestry of lost stories. But then, from the depths, a dread-filled surge rippled, darkness that morphed, mixing with their illuminating truth, desperate to re-establish dominion. With all her might, Lisa screamed, "You are not our truth." The tallest wave of shadows crashed forward, contending with her surge of light. Then came the realization. It was no mere physical battle, but a test of legacy. The shadows were not devoid of vibrance. They were echoes of those who had suffered, those who called out for understanding. Your pain made our pact. Came a cacophony of voices, the embodiment of pain igniting the air all around them. But we can rewrite that pact. Lisa pushed back, her heart roaring with rage and hope. Mama. Mia's voice intertwined with the shadows, trembling but intent, a light-hearted spark embedded in fear. Don't let them win. The shadows began to gather strength, rising against the luminous force, but Lisa watched her daughter grow brighter in the hazard-filled struggle. Memories flooded back, laughter echoed under sunlit skies, warm hugs, soft whispers, the very essence of love. All the moments that mattered fused together, bolstered by Mia's unwavering faith. Remember love, find your truth. In an instant, the shadows flared in response, flickering towards soft clarity as Lisa's plea resonated through them. Hearts began to break free from the weight of grief, unraveling the darkness that wrapped them. Then it all clicked, the realization of their shared experience. Lisa found her strength. Join us. She implored the shadows, come into the light, not in vengeance, but in peace. A flicker ignited as souls long shackled by unforgiven pain began to emerge, breaking free from the ominous shroud. They wept not in sorrow but in release. And as they joined the light, the overwhelming tide of darkness started to splinter, unraveling against the surrounding brilliance. Mama, it's working, Mia exclaimed, joy shimmering through her voice as light advanced against shadows. Lisa felt the reins of fate shift beneath her. But just as victory felt near, the monstrous figure surged forth, angry, raw. Its edges were ragged, swirling greedily, seeking to reclaim the lost. We will consume you. Lisa gripped the seashell tight, forcing the light to radiate, linking it to the truth they had reclaimed together. You cannot, she cried. The unshakable bond between her and Mia fortified the light, creating a final wave of luminous strength. Mama. Mia positioned herself forward, little feet firm against the cold, shifting ground. We cannot leave them. A wave of warmth washed over Lisa. She loved fiercely, recognizing the pain the shadows had wanted connection, desperate to love amidst suffering. All my love, she shouted, the surge of warmth intensifying that heartbeat. Everything erupted into brilliant white light as the shimmer embraced the dark entities that had tormented them. The walls of shadows crumbled. The darkness waned, crying out in anguished release as the shadows of despair disintegrated into ethereal wisps, swirling back into the depths from which they came. The ocean calmed, tranquil beneath a beautiful starlit sky. No sooner had the tempest faded than Lisa pulled Mia closer, tears streaming down her cheeks. We took back what was ours, she said, panting but elated, looking around. The darkness will never take us again. As they stood, embraced by the calming tide, the glowing seashell radiated warmth in Lisa's hands, a tangible reminder that light can always pierce through even the deepest shadows. And in that peaceful moment, the whispers of the ocean transformed a harmonious connection, blurring despair with hope, stitching together their future with every learned truth. Mama, what will happen to the lost ones now? Mia asked, her little voice echoing with empathy. They are free, love. From here on, we share our light. We remember their stories and honor them, Lisa replied, her heart full. They stood hand in hand, feeling the ocean caress around their feet, rid of the looming dread of shadows, destined to carry forward hope. Redemption awaited in the dawn, brightening every corner where darkness had once loomed. And as the first rays of red and gold reached across the horizon, Lisa and Mia held the seashell close, secure in the knowledge of love's enduring legacy, their truth forged forever in the heart of Harrow's Cove. You need to subscribe now to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this wild, heart-pounding conclusion. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this powerful ending. Your support means the world. Show us you're a true fan.